Welcome back to Planetes, and we kick off with an operation during which Hachi has Ai switch over to a private channel to ask her whether or not she's got a boyfriend. But before she can answer, a patrol ship shows up, orbital security. Hachi says to watch herself and not get them arrested. They're not doing anything wrong, but contempt of cop is a problem even in space. Fortunately, this is a friendly visit from Hachi's old sensei.
I am Gigulp Gungle-Gush.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Seems that Gungle-Gush used to work here and had nicknames for everyone. He was the one who nicknamed Hachi Machi. In fact, he taught Hachi everything he knows about working in space. Gungle-Gush is one of 4 members of Orbital Security Operations that is here to help brush up everyone's training, and there will need to be a report on the Orbital Security audit when it's done. Well, everyone here hems and haws about how they're far, far too busy to take on that extra work. So Claire volunteers to do it, despite her own enormous workload. And speaking of being busy, Lucy, one of Ai's friends who works as an attendant on ships, asks Cheng Xin if he'll go out with her on some romantic getaway that she's got tickets for. Except he's got plans. And also, he's horny for Ai. Seems Hachi wasn't asking after Ai's availability status for himself, like she likely wishes given her past actions, but for Cheng Xin. I had to look his name up because it's been a while, and I thought for sure she called him Chin Chin, which sounds like a name that you made up if you have no imagination. I'll be gone spending my name with my good friend Mr. Neck Elbow. Well, Gungle-Gush puts them through their paces, checking for bombs, checking their equipment, kicking Hachi's ass, and arm wrestling.
It's been 2 years and Sensei hasn't changed one bit.
So it was Mr. Gungle-Gush who saved your life when you got in trouble on your first mission, huh, Senpai?
Every pronunciation of this guy's name is gold. The reason that Hachi idolizes Gungle-Gush is that he had an accident on his first mission, but his sensei got him through his fear. Well, Ai is so moved that she asks if Hachi will be her sensei, but he doesn't think that he's anywhere near worthy of being a sensei. He's just a guy with a headband who knows how to work in space. Speaking of senseis, Gungle-Gush reflects on his own sensei, Mr. Roland, and he's talking with him about Faye, but there's a reason she brought him up. He was that guy who died on the moon, remember? That he had in fact committed suicide in a way because he had leukemia. So, that moment of cheer, it's time for the party.
I would like to bid each and every one of you welcome to Ravi's Palace of Illusions. And now, my newest trick, which utilizes Balloon Nora. Behold the glorious spectacle of Rocket Nora!
He's like a birthday clown version of Meryl from Trigun.
Sir, don't you think you've had enough to drink?
No, I'm doing fine.
Fine. Now, where's my gun? Well, Gungle-Gush babbles about how Hachi needs to settle down with Swan already, much to Ai's incredible annoyance, not knowing who Swan is and why Hachi should be settling down with her instead. Well, he means Claire, and Ai gives Hachi the 3rd degree until he drunkenly admits they used to be an item, but then they broke up. This whole thing is a mess, you know that? Ai is confused about how to feel about Hachi, who is only asking on behalf of Cheng Xin, who is thus not interested in Lucy, who is mad at Ai over that. It's not even a love triangle. It's like that crazy board meme from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. When Ai shows up for the mission, Gungle-Gush says that there's a reason that Hachi wears his headband even when he's inside of a suit where nobody can see it. It's a switch, see? Putting it on him changes his mindset that he needs to work on serious things in both his job and in his life. It's the reason for the nickname. He didn't name it just because he wears a Hachi Maki, but rather because it defines who he is. Yeah, I called it Hachi Machi earlier. When you're dealing with characters that sound like they come from Harry Potter, it's hard not to start saying everything in a way that sounds absurd. So Ai asks then why he called Claire Swan if the names are based on deeper things. So he explains that the same way a swan looks graceful and elegant above the water while it's kicking like crazy underneath, well, you can see where that's going. Well, the last mission of Gungle-Gush's assignment with Debris Section has a complication. Their nemesis is out there. A debris team, but not one that collects. It's ones who are dumping things out there. They do it onto existing debris as a way to get rid of it without a trace. They secure it to an existing piece of space junk. That's very illegal, and the OSA is called in. But Toy Box is going to have to slow them down so the cavalry can arrive. They latch on, but the bad guys are trying to cut through the arm, so Hachi and Gumblegush head out to stop them. I insist that she should be able to go out too, but Hachi says a combat situation is not a place where you take a rookie, and finally just kicks her back inside. Well, his sensei chastises him over that. You never raise a hand to a woman. Technically, though, it looks like he might have used his ass. So they engage in orbital hand-to-hand, and the bad guys are ready to fight dirty as they must, since, well, they're looking at 20 years for what they're doing. They glue Hachi to the deck and plan to hit him with an orbital cutting tool, but Gumblegush leaps in to save him first. Unfortunately, that only buys a few seconds before he's sent sailing away without a working suit now. Well, it may look like the end, but there's a hero on the way.
Mr. Gungle are you okay?
She quickly gets Gumblegush and brings him back to Toy Box while Hachi chews her out and demands she come rescue him too. Since, you're already screwing up anyway. Well, it's going to be hard. The bad guys have cut through the arm and they fly off.
Come and get some! Let me show you what a debris hauler of justice is! Go!
Yeah, you may need to plant your foot in martial arts, but never glue it to the ground. Luckily, they bought enough time for orbital security to show up and deal with these orbital polluters. And in fact, the guy in charge of this team is one of Gumblegush's proteges. As he and Hachi shake hands, well, he's just so moved he says now he can retire. They brush off that nonsense, but on board, after he calls I Angel on account of having seen her inside, he coughs up blood.
Mr. Gungle were you hurt in the fight?
No, he wasn't hurt. Seems that Gumblegush has cancer from all his time in space, and he doesn't have much time left. But he asks her that she keep that to herself. Well, will she? We'll have to see in our next episode of Planetes.